Welcome to Keys to Success. On this show, we will motivate, educate, and entertain you. Now here's your host, Mr. Kirk Clark.
Tonight, we're in front of the building of Action Coach, and we're going to get in and talk to Mr. Durga in a bit. So Mr. Durga is going to share his thoughts and his bits upon it. But if you, the viewer, have some thoughts that you would love to see us cover on this show, send me an email. The email address is right now on the screen. Send me that email so I can know some of the topics that you would love to be covered. If you want your name to be mentioned, put your name in it. If you don't want your name to be mentioned, let's just leave it anonymous. All right? But of course, send me that email. The address is right on the screen, and you will have your views shared in the program. But just before we get any further into the show, let's hear from our sponsors.
For the best commercial signage and so much more, call Fast Graphics on 225-1099 or 622-7113. If you'd like to change the look of your car, why not wrap it? Call 225-1099 or 622-7113. Why not put your business on a banner stand and showcase all that you can? Call us today on 225-1099 or 622-7113. Fast Graphics, located at 28 Railroad Line, Kitty. Call us today, 225-1099 or 622-7113.
Call 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001 for the service that is better than all the rest. Call Confidential Cabs, 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001. Confidential Cabs, where safety comes first.
Welcome back to Keys to Success.
My name is Vishnu. I'm with Action Coach Guyana, and today I want to talk to you a bit about our communication program. Our communication program is all about ensuring that you understand yourself, that you're able to identify the various styles, the various behavioral styles that exist, and that you can start adapting the way that you interact with others in order to achieve the result. Now, how do we go about this? Since the very early times, Aristotle, and moving on to the very present times where we have Myers-Briggs and we have other such behavioral profiling tools, people have always thought that there are like 4 behavioral styles. In our case, we would actually look at how open or how guarded someone actually behaves. And this is very easy to see. Someone who is very open, the first time you meet them, you know every single thing about them. I'm sure that you know quite a few people like that. Guarded people, on the other hand, are very limited in terms of their facial expressions. They keep their emotions very close to the chest. It's very difficult to read them. So the first decision you would want to make about anyone is how open or guarded do they come across. And you can actually be able to determine this even from their emails as well. Guarded people have very short, very brief emails, very brief WhatsApp messages, as opposed to open people who write paragraphs and paragraphs of information for all to know. So that's the first decision. Second decision is more about pace. We then try to look at people. Are they more direct or more indirect? Direct people operate at a very high pace. They usually also become very impatient, but they walk fast, they talk fast, and they generally are very much about getting stuff done, getting stuff moving. Whereas indirect people are far more patient. They take their time, they make sure they take in all the details, and they make sure that they are not wrong, right? That's why they really do want to take their time to get all the information in. Whereas the direct portion just wants to get it over with and move on. What's next? Now, if you think about yourself as an individual, you would have to kind of think, am I more guarded or am I more open? Am I more direct or indirect? And if you think about it that way, we end up very quickly with a bit of a grid where on one end we have guarded, on the other end we have open. So you can end up with 4 combinations, basically. You can be very guarded and very direct, and that is what we actually call our dominant style. Right? Dominant people are very high-paced, and they are really after making sure that things get done as fast as possible. They usually push very hard. They usually turn into leaders, into entrepreneurs, and project managers because they just want to move things forward. Another option as well is that you can be very direct, but then also very open. These are what we refer to as our influencers. And influencers are all about being the life of the party. They're very much extroverted. They love to be the center of fun. They have a lot of friends, easy to communicate with. They can sell anything, a portion, a product, a service. They're actually the only type of persons who can win an argument not knowing what they're talking about. Fantastic salespeople. Another aspect as well becomes when people are very indirect and very open. Now, indirect and open, we call that our stability-oriented portions. They're more about stable, secure relationships. They like routine. They like to make sure they're like the glue and the wheels that just keep things turning. They keep the teams together. And as I mentioned, they like stability. The one thing that they do not really like is change and a very high pace. They really dislike that. They dislike conflict. And they usually form the bulk of a team because teams that stick together usually have a lot of stability-oriented portions within them. And then the final combination that is possible is when people are very indirect and then also very guarded. Those people, we actually call them our conscientious style. And these are people who take their time, they're very accurate, very much introverted. They really don't like to interact with a lot of people. They prefer to stay by themselves or with people who they have really long relationships with. This style as well is arguably one of the more intellectual styles. They do a lot of thinking and they think about everything. So if you need something to get done right, give it to a conscientious thinker. But if you need it to get done on time, you might have to think again because they really do procrastinate until they get it right. So they always want to think about it, do some research on it, sleep on it, find out some more about it before they actually make a decision. Now, each one of us actually has all 4 of these styles, all 4 of these types of behaviors in different quantities within our own behavior. At Action Coach Guyana, we actually do the testing as well that allows you to see your graph and to see, well, which one of these behaviors comes out as your primary behavior. So if we were to observe you, we would actually be able to read it very fast. We also offer the training that allows people, it's a 3-hour session that allows for any individual to be able to quickly learn how to be able to decipher people's behavior in order to get the result with that portion. And the way we would kind of look at it is learning how to speak other people's language. If you were to go to Paris, it would be important for you to understand what language do they speak in Paris, and the answer to that is French. And if you don't know to speak French and the only language you speak is English and you needed assistance in France, it would be very difficult for you to get to that result. Nobody could send you to the hotel, nobody could tell you where to buy food because they're all speaking a different language. So the whole idea is that you learn how to communicate in other people's language, because if you were to speak French, if you at least understood French and you could identify that other people speak French, then you can communicate in French to them. And of course, that is how you'd get your result. We call this the platinum rule. Very much different from the golden rule that you would have all learned from different sources. Treat others the way you would like to be treated. Again, the weakness with that could always be, what if they don't want to be treated that way? Right? What if they want you to step up the pace because they're more direct? What if they would actually wanted you to slow down the pace because they're more indirect? So understanding this, we've had feedback that has told us that it saved marriages, it has improved relationships with kids, it has created a much better working environment in companies, in the private sector, in the public sector. So it would be a fantastic opportunity if you are interested in learning this skill and getting yourself tested into doing an individual interpretation session. Make contact with us. The other big advantage that we also have is that any two people, and we find it a lot with husband and wife teams, with executive and manager levels, executives among themselves, we also have the opportunity of testing two individuals and then creating a combined report that allows these two individuals to see how can they really improve the relationship in order to get to a win-win situation where both parties really do benefit from the relationship. This is a service we've been offering for quite some time. I think we've really done quite a number of tests and sessions and interpretations in Guyana to the benefit of many, and we would really like to see you be able to take advantage of this service that we offer.
For the best commercial signage and so much more, call Fast Graphics on 225-1099 or 622-7113. If you'd like to change the look of your car, why not wrap it? Call 225-1099 or 622-7113. Why not put your business on a banner stand and showcase all that you can? Call us today on 225-1099 or 622-7113. Fast Graphics, located at 28 Railroad Line, Kitty. Call us today, 225-1099 or 622-7113.
Call 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001 for the service that is better than all the rest. Call Confidential Cabs, 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001. Confidential Cabs, where safety comes first.
Welcome back to Keys to Success.
I would like to talk to you today on the subject, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. This is off of my book that has just been released, and you have your outlines. And I want to, before I start teaching, kind of give you just the overview of the book. Basically, the book is divided in two sections, connecting principles and connecting practices. And we're going to talk about both of those today. Let's start with, of course, connecting principles. Number one, connecting increases your influence in every situation. For the foundation of the teaching today, I want to make sure that we really have a grasp of why connecting with people is so vital. So if you'll go to the very first sentence in your note, the number one criteria for advancement and promotion for professionals is an ability to communicate effectively. That I do believe. I think the ability to connect and communicate is the number one criteria for success with your family, with your marriage, with your children, with your friends, in the workplace, the marketplace, in the community. If you have the ability to connect with people, if you can communicate and connect, not just communicate, it takes you and literally gives you and I a decided edge over others in the advancement of what we're trying to accomplish. For example, in your notes, presidential historian Robert Dallek says that successful presidents exhibit 5 skills and qualities that enable them to achieve things that others don't. So he's talking about leaders and presidents and people, what makes some achieve better than others? Here's the 5 things they do well. Number 1 is vision. Number 2, pragmatism. Number 3, consensus building, the ability to put together a team and get consensus. Number 4, charisma. And number 5, trustworthiness, being a trustworthy kind of a person. Now, what is interesting about these five things that set the better presidents apart from maybe the average ones, 4 of the 5 deal with connecting. Vision is definitely a connecting skill, the ability to cast a future vision. Consensus building, getting people to work together. You have to be able to connect to do that. Charisma, of course, that's why people follow the quote, the Pied Piper, and trustworthy. 4 of the 5 of the skills needed to be successful as a leader had a lot to do with connecting. So let me define connecting, because that's what this book is all about. Connecting is the ability to identify with people and relate to them in such a way that it increases our influence with them. In other words, we can identify with them until they say, he or she understands exactly what I know and what I'm going through, and we can relate with them until because of that ability, we begin to increase our influence with them. And of course, what do I teach about leadership? Very simple. Leadership is influence.
For the best commercial signage and so much more, call Fast Graphics on 225-1099 or 622-7113. If you'd like to change the look of your car, why not wrap it? Call 225-1099 or 622-7113. Why not put your business on a banner stand and showcase all that you can? Call us today on 225-1099 or 622-7113. Fast Graphics, located at 28 Railroad Line, Kitty. Call us today, 225-1099 or 622-7113.
Call 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001 for the service that is better than all the rest. Call Confidential Gabs, 231-8600, 231-8601, 231-4000, 231-4001. Confidential Gabs, where safety comes first.
I don't know anyone who understands the power of words more than Maya Angelou. I've been in her home at a party, and someone telling a homophobic joke or making fun of someone in a derogatory way, and watched her invite them to leave or stop them in mid-sentence and say, "Not in my house, you won't."
Words are things, I'm convinced. You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. In the Old Testament, we are told in Genesis that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That's in Genesis. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.
How many of you know that if you had your life to live over again, you could do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves the point that what we do and what we accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. So I want you to think about some goals that you'd like to achieve, and I'd like for you to, let's say, break them up in 3 categories. Number 1, I want you to think about some personal goal you'd like to achieve. And I'd like for you to think about some career goal, some business goal that you'd like to achieve. And I want you to think about some social contribution, some impact you'd like to make with your life. It was Horace Mann who said, we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. I believe we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to leave our mark, to make a statement with our lives. And as you think about these goals, whatever those goals are, I want you to dramatically increase those goals. And I want to warn you, I don't want you to think about how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. The most important thing is just to increase those goals dramatically. I've found that most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. And many don't aim at all. So raise the bar on yourself and don't ask how you're going to do it. I'll never forget when I decided that I wanted to become a motivational speaker. I saw the late Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and my heart said, I can do that. But my mind asked the question, how? And for over 14 years, I would go see Zig Ziglar and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Jim Rohn and different speakers, and I would be in the audience, and my heart would pounce and say, you can do that, Les. And then when I would leave, I would be going to the parking lot, and my mind said, how are you going to do it? And I spent so many years trying to figure out how. I wasted 14 years. How many of you ever procrastinated? Raise your hands, please. Yeah, see, so as you begin to think about your goals, the most important thing is, and write this down, commit yourself. See, once you commit yourself, the how will come, the way will come. Once you commit yourself, you will then figure it out. And if you're going in the wrong direction, all you have to do is turn around and go in the other direction. You will figure it out. You want to begin to just challenge yourself. You want to stretch yourself because you really don't know what you can't do. I'll never forget the first day that I met Mr. Washington. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City. I was born in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade. And I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. I don't have any college education, but because of my mother, and I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I saw a sign once that said that God took me from my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So my first major goal was to buy my mother a home, to take care of my mother. And I did that, took care of her until she passed at 88. But I'll never forget when I met Mr. Washington. I was in a class waiting on another student, and he came in and he said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for us. I said, oh, sir, I can't do that. He said, why? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, look at me. I said, yes, sir. Go to the board and work the problem out anyhow. I said, sir, I can't do what you're asking me to do. He said, why? Sir, because I'm educable, mentally retarded, sir. And as the students erupted in laughter, he came from behind his desk, he looked at me and he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated. But on the other hand, I was liberated. Because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, look at a man the way that he is. He only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be. Then he becomes what he should be. And so Mr. Washington, he challenged me. And I want to challenge you right now about raising your goals. And I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and left, look them in the eyes and say, stretch yourself. Yeah, see, I think that you really have to stretch yourself to discover your stuff. I think that we have to really begin to experiment with life. When I said that you have something special, I didn't say that just to be kind and courteous. You do. See, I think that there are not many people that come to seminars or workshops or will watch a program of this nature. Why? I just think that most people are just satisfied to where they are. I'm reminded of a man one day. He was walking down the street and he passed his porch where some people were on the porch talking, and there was a dog moaning and groaning. And he was curious why the dog was moaning and groaning. And he went back and he said, excuse me, he asked the owner, why is the dog moaning and groaning? Guy said, because he's laying on a nail. He said, well, why won't he get off? He said, it's not hurting bad enough for him to get off. Just hurting bad enough to moan and groan. How many of you know people who should be here? Raise your hands, please. How many of you know people all they do is moan and groan? Moan and groan. I'm not making enough money. Moan and groan. I'm unhappy with my job. 87% of people go to jobs that they hate. And in addition to that, you know, as we know that we have the dubious distinction in this country that on Monday morning the heart attack rate increases over 35%. On Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9, people going to jobs that they hate. The heart said, didn't I tell you I didn't want to go? And attack them. Some of you don't want to go to work next Monday. So the thing is this. So you want to find out what resonates with you. What is it you really want to do? You want to experiment with life and find out what fits for you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. See, I believe that anybody through observation and practice can perform at the level of excellence. But when you're pursuing your greatness, and this is worth writing down, you don't know what your limits are, and you act like you don't have any. So I say to you, you have something special. You have greatness within you. And I want to make 4 things clear. Number 1, everything that I'm going to say, you already know it. If what I share, the message that I'm going to express right now and share with you, if it wasn't a part of who you are already, you wouldn't be in the audience. That's number 1. That's very important. It's already in you. I'm going to only confirm and validate that which is a part of you anyhow. The second thing is, everything I'm going to say to you, you've heard it before. From people with college degrees and credentials, I can't hold a candle to. It's common sense, but not common practice. Third thing is, I don't want you to agree with me, and I don't want you to believe me. I just want you to be open to some things right now. I want you to think beyond that which is commonly allowed. And I'm going to tell you what I'm up to. I want you to think about your goals, and I want to tell you what I'm going to do right now. My whole goal is to get past your mind. That's my whole challenge, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to do that. See, your assignment was to show up. My assignment is to get past your mind and get into your heart. Once you think about the goals that you want to achieve, and I really want to challenge you to make up your mind that you're going to make that happen for yourself. And I hope that it's some goal that really resonates with who you are. When I was a little boy, my goal was to just buy groceries for our family. My mother worked on Miami Beach. She was a domestic worker. And my goal was to really be able to go to the grocery store and purchase groceries ourselves. The families knew that my mother had adopted 7 children. And so they said, Mamie, whatever food is left over after we eat, you can take that home to the children. They were very kind, very, very considerate people. My mother, who when she worked on Miami Beach, the people were very kind. I was appreciative of their generosity. But as a little boy, I said, Mama, one day, when I become a big boy, I'm going to be able to buy groceries for us. My goal as a little boy was to buy clothes for my brothers and sisters. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama babysat for when she went over in Miami Beach. And if the clothes were too small, she would let them out. And if they were too large, Mama could sew and take them up. And I'll never forget David Sidursky. His father was very wealthy. Mama worked for him, but David was my buddy. And so his father gave him 2 gifts for his birthday. Gave him a brand new boat, but he also gave him some motivational tapes. Earl Nightingale, I'll never forget. So he said, David, man, let me tell you something. When I die, you're going to get everything. I want you to listen to these tapes. And when his father left the room, David threw those tapes in the wastebasket. I said, David, could I have those tapes? He said, yes. I said, man, your father said, if you listen to these, you can get more and do more than what he's done. He said, hey, look, I'm going to get everything anyhow. Go ahead, take them. I told my children, I'm not leaving them anything. You know, if I had a quarter and thought I was going to die, I'll swallow it.